Hi, welcome to the God Shot on abuse. And what we're going to cover in this God Shot is the abuse that you receive at the hands of other people, physical, mental, sexual, verbal, bullying, all of that stuff. Okay, I'm really happy to have on this God Shot my friend and professional marriage and family life counselor, Cindy Garcia. Cindy, thanks for joining us for this God Shot. I wanted to make sure that those who tune in will receive the expert psychological knowledge that you have. So, Cindy, we know that, there are people out there that everything gets ruined for them because of the physical and sexual abuse that they suffered when they were younger or are currently suffering. Tell us about, what do you do if it's part of, that tragedy is part of your life?
If it is presently occurring, I definitely would suggest reporting it. But I know that in a lot of cultures, that's a no. Like it's embarrassing. They don't want to go through the litigation process. I get that. And if you're unwilling to report it, but if it's presently happening, um, more likely than not, a professional is going to expose it. Because if it's currently happening, as professionals, we need to report any type of abuse or neglect or maltreatment. So if it's currently happening, I just want you to know, anyone watching, if they're seeking help for it and it's still happening, your therapist is going to report it. But I don't want that to take you from not seeking treatment. It's just we legally have to do that. It's part of our, it's part of our life. We can lose our license if we don't. So, um, but if it's happened in the past, and like let's say years ago, like over 4 or 5 years ago, therapists don't have to report that. And if the perpetrator is not involved in your life currently, we do not have to report that, even if you are a minor. That's up to you if you want to report it at that point, because some time has passed. But if it's affecting you still presently, like if, I don't know, let's say this individual used to grab you by the wrist, and like let's say you're walking down the street, and let's say you didn't see a car coming and your friend pulls you back from your wrist, and it triggers you to that moment, and you start to get really depressed and really anxious, and you become aggressive towards them, then that's saying that it's currently like stressing you out. It's currently causing you turmoil, and you should definitely seek counseling to process that PTSD that you have. And PTSD stands for post traumatic stress disorder. And anyone who has been through any type of abuse usually gets diagnosed with that, with post traumatic stress disorder. Not soldiers aren't the only ones that get that from, going to war and coming back. They're not the only ones that get that. Anyone who suffered any type of trauma will usually get that diagnosis.
Okay. What do you have to say about a person that's undergone extreme emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse at the hands of a significant adult or
Mm-hmm.
even their peers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What can they do? What can they do to get through that or to get past that?
If you've experienced any type of emotional abuse, and that can be anything from talking down to you, somebody's making you feel less than, like they're superior and you're like dirt or lower than dirt. Mental abuse is basically what it sounds like. They're messing with your head, like making you think that you decided certain things when you haven't. Like, oh, you don't look good in that dress. Like, you should probably lose weight, right? And then you say, no, I don't think so. No, but like, if you do, like, people will like you. So they're playing a mental game with you, and that's a form of abuse. If someone's physically abusing you, that's a completely different story. Like anything from hitting you, punching you, any type of harm to you. That's what physical abuse is, and sexual abuse is obviously, I think, what everyone knows. Anything from molesting, which is like just touching, and penetration is a whole different ball game. But if you're currently going through any type of those abuses from someone, how Tony said, someone significant in your life, please get the help you need, because you shouldn't have to go through that alone. And I definitely don't want anyone who's watching this to experience what we call in therapy as victim shaming. A lot of people who are the victim are all more often than not they are shamed for that. Like, oh, you were asking for it. Oh, had you not worn that skirt, it wouldn't have happened. Had you had stopped being friends with this person, they wouldn't have bullied you. Had you have broken up with him, then he wouldn't have taken all. Oh, and there's also financial abuse too. Someone who uses you just for financial gain, or like but I see that more in married couples. Like, let's say the both parties work, the husband will take the wife's paycheck and he will use it as at his disposal, and he won't let her have any say in any of the finances in the home. So that's a form of financial abuse. Forgot to mention that one. But you should definitely get the help you need, and don't let anyone victim shame you. I always tell my clients that all the time. Like, you might hear that from family, you might hear that from your own parents, you might hear that from friends, but it was never your fault. The victim is never at fault, regardless of the situation, regardless of what you were wearing, regardless that you went to that club that night or you were with your friends that night. If you went in there with good intent and you trusted the people that were around you, it is not your fault. It is their fault. That's why they are called a perpetrator for a reason. So please don't feel like it is your fault.
Great. Cindy, do you have any advice for a person to avoid a potential date rape situation?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone here watches Shark Tank. But Shark Tank, there was this, I actually forgot the name of the product, but this woman came up with this product of, it's like a stick that you stick inside your drinks. Like, if a man is buying you, let's say, a martini or pina colada or something, you stick the stick in the cup and it looks like a straw. And if the drink changes color, then that tells you that they put something in your drink. And what I also tell my clients who are over the age of 21 and can go, to clubs to drink, I always tell them to watch the bartender make your drink. Watch them. Do not take your eyes off the bartender, because sadly sometimes bartenders are in on it as well. Like, there are those underground type of places where perpetrators and bartenders have like some type of gain from that. The perpetrator, gets to abuse the person, but maybe they're paying off the bartender. So I tell them to always watch the bartender. Do not, like, even that split second that you're doing this and texting someone like, I'm here, it could be when the bartender slips something in your drink. And always watch when, the person gives you their drink to you. Like, make sure that you're washing his hands. If you're leaving the drink at the table and you have to go to the bathroom, like, don't take the drink when you come back if it's someone you're just meeting. Like, if someone that you don't have that trust in yet. So be like, no, like, I'm full. Like, no, I want something else. Like, act kind of like, nah, like, kind of deflect from that. But for anyone that's under that age and can't go to the clubs, like, again, just have self-awareness. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of who you're around. Always make sure that your loved ones know where you are. I know that the younger crowd likes to tell their parents that, oh, I'm going to my best friend's house, but they're really going somewhere else. Like, try as much as you can to tell the people that love you and are there to protect you and keep you from harm's way. Please let them know where you are, so God forbid something does happen, they know where you last were.
Mm-hmm.
It's always best to be honest.
Yeah. Would you pretty much say that for a younger person going to a house party, that it would be pretty wise advice to just not take a drink from anybody you don't know?
Yes, definitely.
And never allow yourself to be surrounded by a bunch of guys who want to get you high or tell you you're the most beautiful girl there and they have a special room to go in and a lot of things. You have to have your head, you don't want to be fearful, but you got to be smart.
Yeah, like I said, just be aware of your surroundings. Don't put yourself in harm's way, like how you just said, Tony. That's a perfect example of being alone in a room with a bunch of boys. Like, that's never smart, especially if they're boys that you just met. And even with the ones that you've known for a while, like, we never know, like, who people really are behind closed doors unless you've like really, really, really gotten to know them. And very often, more often than not, we don't really know everyone, you know? So just always be on alert. Always let someone, an adult, know where you are, where you really are, so that God forbid something happens, they can send the police or help to wherever you're at. But yeah, like don't and like well, how you had said get high, Tony. I know that the young crowd likes to experiment with edibles. So also be careful, like if I should even have this edible because they might be telling you that there's weed in there, but it might be something else. So because if I mean if you didn't see it being made yourself, then what proof do you have that it really does only have weed in it? It could have, God forbid, a date rape drug.
Oh, sure, sure.
Like, just be careful.
And then there were people that have parties. What do they call them? Skittles parties, where everybody just raised their mother's or grandmother's medicine cabinets and dropped all kinds of pills in, and you have no idea what you're taking. That's so crazy. Let's talk. Okay, so thank you for covering really well the most serious kinds of abuse, and any of them, rape, molestation, physical violence, you didn't deserve. Nobody deserves that, but they deserve the chance to be healed of it. And that's what you get through counseling. So thank you. Let's talk about something that may not be as traumatic, or maybe it is. The amount of verbal abuse and rudeness and ripping people and cancel culture and everything that's happening is destroying people through, a lot of adults are ignorant. They'll say to kids today, you kids are soft. We had bullying. We dealt with it, and we did. But it ended at the end of the school day. Now, because of social media, you could be tormented 24/7. What would you do? How would you help somebody who just, their head is all screwed up because they've had so many bombarding messages of they're not good enough, that they're below everybody, that they're worthless, they've been told they should kill themselves, they've been told they don't deserve to live. What would you say to somebody that's been through that kind of abuse?
Well, first off, I usually always recommend my clients to block that individual. Like, please, if they're just harassing you on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, anything, even through text messages, please block that individual. We're very fortunate that like we have that, that option in our phones. So just block them. And if they, make a fake account, and which people like to do, the ones who are bullying, doing that cyberbullying, if they make a fake account, please block that fake account. And if that pattern of behavior just continues, please tell an adult about that. If you do not feel comfortable telling your parents, please go to your school guidance counselor, because they will be able to address it with the student as well who's there. Because it's most likely it's a school peer. And so please go to your guidance counselor, take snapshots of it, screenshots of it on your phone if this behavior just continues, but you should never allow that to happen. If it's a constant bombardment and it's a constant intrusion of your privacy, and they're doing that through technology, please take screenshots of it, but block them. And if they continue to do it, please go tell your guidance counselor about it, or the school social worker, or it doesn't even have to be one of them. It can be a teacher maybe that you have really good relationship with. Please go to your teacher as well, because they're also trained in stuff. I mean, not as much as therapists are, but they can direct you, they can help you and lead you to the correct guidance counselor who could help you. Okay. So please don't allow that behavior to happen.
Yeah, I know that there are even social media sites where people can totally anonymously say stuff to you. And I've known people that have been tormented, but they stayed on it because they hoped that eventually they'd be able to figure out who it was that was saying that to them. And I just try to tell them, no, it ain't worth it. Do not subject yourself to that. So, yeah, you know what? The other reason why to not that's very serious stuff, but how the common bullying thing that goes on, I always tell young people, you don't let a bully get to you, because every bully we know was once bullied by someone else. And they have nagging doubts about themselves that they don't want you to discover, so they divert. They flip it onto someone else. So if you've been through that kind of generic or even ongoing verbal, disrespect, just let it roll off your back. Don't absorb it. Don't let that person define you, because it's their issue, not yours.
Mhm, mhm. And I know that sometimes with the younger crowd, I know that's easier said than done. It's a lot easier for us, like, because how Tony said, we're of the older crowd, and we were bullied, and we didn't have to worry about this. We didn't have to worry about technology back then. So, like, I know it's easier said than done to not let it affect you. I know that hearing a lot of negative things about you often makes you believe that those things are true, like that you're ugly, that you're stupid, that you're worthless, that you're dumb, that you're an idiot, well, whatever it is, whatever negative connotation is being said to you. I know that sometimes the younger crowd tends to believe it, but like, I promise you that's not true. It is not true, and you should not give them power over you. You should not give them that control. If you feel that way within yourself, then that's something that you need to process, maybe with the help of a therapist. But don't let someone else plant that seed in your brain, and then it turns into this, like like a weed, in your head, that, like, oh, maybe I am stupid, maybe I am ugly, maybe I am worthless. Like, no, do not allow a seed to be planted that you did not give permission to be planted in the first place.
Yeah. Another thing that happens too is you could become the biggest put down artist in your life, because people
Mm-hmm.
shoot out this and that and all these different things at you. They say one thing, whatever, you have the power to put them all together and play them over and over and over again in your head. So sometimes we become the worst put down artist in our own life. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we you can't make everybody like you. You can't make everybody behave, but you can determine what you'll allow to land and what to let roll. And
Mm-hmm.
this is called a God shot. So your ultimate label for yourself is that you are God's beloved son or daughter, God's beloved child. Nobody can take that away from you. Don't give anybody that power over your life. Okay. Cindy, thanks so much. Okay. God
Mm-hmm.
bless you all. Thanks for watching.